The thing that we really want to master right now are commission conversations, what to say when you're having conversations about money. And I will tell you, there are a lot of people out there who have a hang up about money. And I want to just get a message out. Don't fear the commission conversation, the money conversation. Embrace it and be proactive with it. In fact, if you're afraid of it, it'll come up and you'll mess it up. But if you bring it up and you control the narrative, it will work out in your favor.
Hey, everybody, you're listening to What to Say Now, a podcast that's dedicated to helping real estate professionals have better conversations. And there is literally no one better today to help with this than my guest, Michael Maher. Many of you know him already because he's an all-around awesome guy. He's the author of that wonderful 7 Levels book that so many of us have read. And better still, he's my personal friend. Yeah, thank you. Look at that. Look at that. There's the book right there. How are you, Michael?
I'm doing awesome. Just happened to have one right here that I was signing. So it's a nice shameless plug there.
Yeah,
I'm excited about this. Always great to have conversations with you. We've had a lot of great conversations over the year, and I've always learned from you and love the wisdom that you always share. You come from a great place, and you've done an amazing thing for this industry. So love it. Appreciate it.
That's very kind. Thank you. You know, I feel like none of us get through life alone. And whenever there's times of challenge or uncertainty, what do? We turn to the people around us, right? We do that. We invest in each other over time. And as we're recording this here in mid-August 2024, there's an enormous amount of change taking place in the real estate industry. And I'd love to get your take on that, Michael. What sort of things are you hearing from the agents you serve?
Isn't this awesome? Isn't this awesome? Now, that's not what I'm hearing, but I am so fired up about this. I think it's awesome. And there's so much hubbub and you know, people with their different responses to change and fear has been very good to see and very interesting to see. And the thing that I've been telling people is, what if I told you that in 6 months, you're going to sit down and write a handwritten note to Michael Ketchmark, the attorney who started all of these class action suits and actually won in Missouri? What if I told you in 6 months, you're going to write a handwritten note expressing your appreciation to him for shaking up this industry and raising the professionalism and the competence in this industry? What if I told you that? And that's an instant reframe for all the agents I'm talking to right now. And, you know, I'm serious. I'm dead serious that we need to be in appreciation right now, not in panic, not in anxiety, not in fear. We need to be in appreciation. This is not everybody's going to survive it. And maybe that's okay. Maybe that's a good thing. You know, everybody's been surviving in real estate for a while without a lot of skills. And now it's a skill-based industry instead of just merely a service-based interest being there. You know, you not only have to be there now, you also need to know, quote unquote, what to say.
Yeah. Well, hey, someone should start a podcast using that in the title. I think that'd be helpful.
Brilliant. Right? I love the idea. So I'm in today, now.
The thing you're sharing here that I love so much is that the first thing we have to do is figure out what to say to ourselves. Mm-hmm. Times have changed, right? There's something that's different. We need to adapt to that internally before we can really show up in a way that's powerful for other people. And, you know, I know from having attended your events and gotten to know you over many years of time, like you're a guy who really believes in investing in the relationships you build with people. So I would just want to encourage the audience that, you know, think of all those people you've served over the course of your career. Think what they see every morning when they turn on the TV, right? There's some doom and gloom headline about how real estate has changed forever. And yet, you know what? Most of those people are going to need help with their next transaction. And 100% of those people are going to need to live somewhere. So I say lean in. That's what we need to do as an industry.
100%. And it's what I'm seeing is there's 3 types of agents out there right now. And it's all about fear. and there's 4 different acronyms for fear. The first one is for everyone a reality. Fear is a reality. It is. Everyone feels fear. We've all felt fear, and it's probably kept us alive. And that is deeply enrooted in us to keep us alive, and that's why the Homo sapiens have done so well so long, is because of this ability to feel fear and respond to it. Right? That's the whole Stephen Covey thing. Is response, ability to respond, result, right? And so it's one of those where fear is a good thing, for everyone a reality. Now, it's our response to fear that puts us into 3 types of agents right now. The first type of agent is going to quit. First type of, they're going to quit. And their response to fear is a new fear acronym, which is forget everything and run. Just forget everything and run. I've been in this business. I've done you know what? Look at all these changes. It's scary. I don't know what to do. I'm not getting leadership, and NAR let us down. And gosh, if NAR can't do it, I can't do it. I'm out. And they forget everything and run. That you've seen it. I mean, look at the Facebook groups lit up lately with these forget everything and run, panic, the sky is falling. It's the worst thing ever.
You know what I
And
think it
guess
is,
what?
Michael? I
Yes,
think some people are looking for an excuse to fail, right? They need that external event to happen to justify their desire to give up, right?
that's right.
Because this
That's
is
right.
not a career for the meek. It just isn't.
No,
Like, if you're going to really thrive as a real estate professional, some people they've done okay sitting on the sidelines. Friends and family come along, they do a handful of deals every year. But there's a big difference between that person and the truly dedicated career professional who's constantly investing and doing a better job for other people. Yeah. So for all those agents who are thinking, hey, maybe it is time, let's just forget everything and run. I say you got to go to, here's a shameless plug, go to realtyconnect.com, hang your license there, right? Generate referrals, still work your database. Like, if you're looking for an off ramp, there's your off ramp. Go ahead and do that. You don't have to invent what to do next. It's already been done.
don't just let it go. Right? Put it somewhere
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
figure it out. Like if you're in a holding pattern, a great place to hold is at Realty Connect and connect through Dan. Right? The second type of group, we've also seen this online quite a bit, and this is the agent that is the type to wish it were going to stay the same, and they really don't want to make any changes. They want everything to be normal, and they have a different response to fear. And their fear acronym is fight everything and resist. Fight everything and resist. And they're ready to fight, and they're looking for the loopholes, and they're going to make it as normal as it was before. And they're not going to change. They're going to show the home without knowing what their commission is. They're going to just do it as normal. And it's going to lead to a lot of heartache, a lot of frustration, and they may end up moving into that first group as well, right? So fight everything and resist. I have a message to them is drop the dukes, right? Drop the gloves and just maybe look around, and is it worth it to fight? Or is it going to be worth more to adopt and change? And that's the third group of agent that we're seeing out there. And that is the adopt and change. They're the group that is like, all right, so these are the new rules of the game. Let's go play the game. I'm going to adopt and adapt. I'm going to adopt the new rules, and I'm going to adapt to the new game. And I'm going to win the new game. And they have a different response to fear, and they have a new acronym. And the acronym for the third group of agent is face everything and rise. Turn, face it, see what's going on, and rise to the occasion. Go up, take it to the next level, become more professional, become more competent. Oh, I wasn't doing buyer consultations before. I'm going to do them. I may suck at them for a little bit. I need to practice on my family first. I need to practice on other colleagues first, which I highly suggest. But I'm going to do a buyer's consultation. And then I'm going to work through the conversation so I know what to say during the buyer's consultation to help people with the commission conversation, which is really the biggest difference between how it was done before and how it's being done now. Is the seller and the listing agent are having commission conversations. The buyer and the buyer agent are having commission conversations. And here's the difference. The listing agent and the buyer agent are having commission conversations. So the thing that we really want to master right now are commission conversations. What to say when you're having conversations about money. And I will tell you, there are a lot of people out there who have a hang up about money. They avoid the money conversation. And I want to just get a message out that everyone needs to embrace the money. Don't fear the commission conversation, the money conversation. Embrace it and be proactive with it. In fact, if you're afraid of it, it'll come up and you'll mess it up. But if you bring it up and you control the narrative, it will work out in your favor.
Completely agree with that. You've got to embrace that thing, right? Whatever it is that you're afraid of, it's not going to resolve itself. You've got to grasp the nettles, right? You've got to get in there and work through it. And of course, you don't have to invent the way that it's being done. This is one of the most beautiful things I think about our industry is that, you look around and there's always an example of someone or some area or some geography where what you need to master is their normal. And there's 16 states where buyer's agency already requires a signed agreement prior to going out to show property.
Yep. Kansas and Missouri, right? So we did buyer's consultations. We got 100% of our EBAs signed, and that's how we've been doing work for years. So borrow on our experience, like Florida has it, right? Florida has never really necessitated an EBA or a buyer broker agreement.
Mm-hmm.
And, they hadn't been doing, a lot of agents hadn't been doing buyer consultations. So borrow mine, have mine, use mine.
Take it.
And until you get creative with it and then go from there. Howard Brinton, one of the greatest, he gave me the greatest advice ever. One of the greatest mentors I've ever had, and one of the greatest mentors in real estate trainers. And he said, whatever you want to learn or whatever you want to do, go out and find out what the best is doing and copy what they're doing. Don't reinvent the wheel.
R&D,
Don't
baby.
reinvent the wheel.
R&D, rip off and duplicate. Let's go.
That's right. Or
let's go.
I think there's nicer ways to put that, but I definitely think that it's don't reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
There's answers out there. Go gather them and then put together your solution.
Well, let's talk about Florida for just a bit here in this context, right? Because being a Floridian, I can speak to this first person. We have, thousands and thousands and thousands of people who decide that their sunburn is a little too sensitive today and it's time to open realtor.com or Zillow or do an IDX search or, oh, there's an open house sign. Let's just go take a look, right? So they enter a real estate funnel in complete dream phase. They're not ready to actually buy, sell, or invest in real estate. They're just curious. And in Florida, there are countless buyer's agents who have been victimized by that process. They're investing lots of time and energy showing those people homes when if we'd had buyer's agency in place and that EBA was required, it just would not have happened. So I think what we're about to see is in a lot of states, buyer's agents have just been given a huge gift, right? They've now got a giant chunk of their productivity they can invest somewhere else, which it's big silver lining, I think.
Well, 100%. There's these 7 principles of influence and persuasion, essentially. And one of those is commitment. And listen, I don't know how protective the document is if it really comes down to it, because are you going to sue a client? And I think you are going to see more agents and brokers sue clients in the future if there's instances. Whereas the process before, it didn't necessarily give it that power, right? Well, but them signing a document that says that they're working with you is the first step to commitment. And it gives you an open license to be as motivated as your client. Whereas before, you could spend a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of energy, and not get anything out of it because you were an unpaid tourist guide to Florida for the people. And in this case, all right, now it's a commitment thing. And if they're not willing to sign it, then you don't go show. You can pass it on to the next unpaid tourist guide. And that is a gift. You're exactly right. It's a gift and a silver lining that is out there. And I think we just the biggest thing that I think we just have to learn how to communicate better. And that's why I called the book The 7 Levels of Communication instead of the 7 Levels of Marketing. An agent told me, 12 years ago that, man, if you call that the 7 Levels of Marketing, you're going to sell like 50,000 copies of that. You'll do it really well with it. And I really debated at the time. It was like, the average book sells 250 copies. You have a chance to sell 50,000. And then I just really reflected, and it's I got to be me. And it's like, I truly believe that communication is more important than marketing. And this is really about communication more than it is about marketing. And people are like, well, I'm posting on Facebook about the new change. And it's like, don't do that. What you're trying to do is communicate a one solution to 5,000 or 15,000 people who the solution is different and customized for each and every one of them. They're not going to relate to the things have changed and here's how it's going to work. They're not going to relate to that. They don't care right now if they're not in the market. And even if they are, they're not going to know necessarily how that relates to them. And it'll probably come off wrong because it's in text form and not in conversation form.
Even words we use every day, like buyer's agency. I mean, to a consumer, what is that?
That's right.
I know what both of those words mean. You put them together, I have no clue what we're talking about.
That's right.
So I think to some extent, you've got a cumbersome process that occurs very infrequently in the life of a consumer.
Right.
And part of what they expect is there's stuff they're not going to know. They're going to have to trust someone. Here's, sheet after sheet of paper that needs to be initialed and signed.
Yep.
This is just another sheet of paper that needs to be initialed and signed.
Well, and we're definitely on the plus side of that in the referral game. With if you're referred, you already have the trust element there. So what referrals do is when you say come in for the buyer's consultation, they come in for the buyer's consultation. When you go through the buyer's consultation, show your value, and you say you need to sign this before it can show you properties, they sign the document or initial the document. And then, you say, hey, listen, we're going to see 3 to 5 homes and then make a decision. They see 3 to 5 homes and make a decision. And then, it's one of those where if you're chasing a lead, and this is why the whole touring guide that Zillow put together, and a lot of these lead generating companies, they're scared right now. They're a little worried because it used to be, what was the conversion rate before? 0.5%. Well, that's going to be cut in a half or a fourth even, to where it's going to be nearly impossible to convert a lead to a client. And then you top that off with what about the FCC and everything else. You might want to speak about that because I actually learned about that from you. They're on dangerous ground. The Sphere events referrals world is the place to be. It really is.
What all of these changes do is they just point you in the right direction. We say real estate is a relationship business, right? We've believed that for a long time. And yet the companies that, become multi-billion-dollar publicly traded global conglomerates, they're in business to sell agents leads. That game has changed. It's definitely changed. And relationships are the thing that's going to get agents through these transitions with the NAR settlement and through the FCC changes coming later this year. So
how is that going to change? Have you already spoken about that to this group? Just about how the selling of leads to multiple agents, that kind of thing?
It's something we've talked about quite a bit here, but a quick summary for the audience. This is important enough to say over and over and over again.
Yeah.
There's 3 major components that are going to change the way leads are distributed, sold, worked in real estate. The first is 2 words: explicit consent. And boy, doesn't that sound interesting. Explicit consent. What are we even talking about here? You know those forms where you're filling out your information online? There's usually some fine print that says, by checking this box, by submitting your information, by blah, 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 you're giving permission to A, B, C, and D. Well, in the past, that's largely been ignored. Whatever that fine print said, oftentimes a lead registers in one place. They're thinking maybe they'll get outreach from one agent. And that lead gets sold, 7, 10, 15 times, who knows how many times. That's something that's going away. So these companies who are in the business of selling leads are going to need to increase the price per lead to make up for that change. So gosh, that sounds like bad news if you're an agent who buys leads. And yet, you won't be one of many who are now working that lead. Now, let's take that use case a little further. Let's say I'm a broker owner or I'm a team owner. I'm investing in leads and then distributing them to my agents. I may have a pool or a pond. We don't have absolute clarity yet on what the FCC may consider sharing that lead. If it's in one organization, perhaps it's fine for multiple agents within that organization to reach out. Where it's absolutely not okay for that lead to be sold multiple times, right? So that's the first issue there, is explicit consent.
Yay, consumer.
And yeah, that's a
right.
great
Chalk
thing.
one up for the consumers.
Yep, that's huge. And the second big area is text messaging, right? I mean, how many times a day so far, each of you listening, have you been interrupted by a text from some source you have no idea where they came from, right?
For health insurance, right? Just for health insurance.
Yeah, your car warranty. I mean, it could be anything. It comes over and over. And as we're in a political season, we're getting lots of that as well. That is not the purpose of text messaging, right? Text is very one-to-one. I'm getting geeky here, Michael. It's a synchronous communication. It's like if I knock on your door, I'm really there. When you answer your door, I'm really there. That's what a text message is supposed to be like. So if you're using software to send out thousands of texts to people, just know that that's something that's not going to survive. As these changes are implemented, that's going to go away. Texting should be one-to-one and not one-to-many. You can automate the first text as part of a lead conversion sequence. You should not be automating text for months or years into the future. Just shouldn't be doing it. Right? So those are two major things that are coming here. And, you add this all together, everything's pointing towards the value of relationships. And that's where I really want to focus with you, because our relationship has allowed us to experience some things together. And we have this awesome event coming up in September. So I'm stoked, because RMS 22 seems like it was years ago, because it was.
It does, doesn't it?
Yep.
The last one was a while back, it feels. And I'm excited about RMS 2024. We literally we're working on the backdrop of it and some of the design. And I love the Unleash Your Superpower tagline. I love the superhero theme. I love what we're doing with it. It's going to be a lot of fun. First of all, when was the last time the conference was designed around being fun? And that's the thing, is there isn't, right? And then also we have all of this powerful content through the breakouts. We have choice. There is going to be a little overwhelm. You're going to have 3 to 4 choices for a breakout 4 times a day for 2 days, but it's just so much more manageable with 300 people than it is like a 5,000 or a 10,000. And the speakers we have are going to help you maximize your referrals. We have AI speakers on AI marketing, follow-up events. Any event you've ever thought about doing, you're going to get every answer you ever wanted about doing that event, and probably more answers than you had ever thought of before. F.E.A.R, events, referrals, fun, fun. And that's the whole thing about the referral mastery system is, funleadgeneration.com, funprospecting.com. And I just got those URLs. And what's hilarious about that is, are you telling me that in the 15 to 20 years of URLs and domain purchases that nobody had ever thought to put the words fun and lead generation together, or fun and prospecting together? Guess what? That's what we're doing. If it ain't fun, we ain't doing it. And we make now, here's the thing with fun lead generation. Are there things that are difficult? Yeah. When you get 28 referrals at your next event, you then have, it could be fun, but it's also going to be work. You've got to follow up with those 28 people in a really powerful way, which is one of the focuses that we have at RMS. Is the fortune is in the follow up. We've got Dustin Fox coming down, who has been using it for a lot of social media as part of his follow up. You're there, you're speaking. We have just some of the best in the business who are about relationship. And here's the thing. Here's what you're probably not going to hear from stage, which you'll laugh. But the rest of the agents, I'd be interested in their feedback. Is you're not going to hear it's all about relationships. You're not going to hear that because, it's so funny. I was just watching the simulcast of a breakout, and the panelist goes, "Well, just like always, it's all about relationships." And the other panelists were like, and then the moderator is like, and everybody in the audience is, and it's like, I want you to know, we all have relationships. Everyone has relationships. It's not about relationships. It's about how do we bridge the gap from relationships to referrals, to opportunities. And that's what this entire summit is about, is how do we go from having relationships to getting referrals, getting opportunities, getting introductions and connections, and building our tribe of trust and building our business. And that's what's different. It's just different. Everybody kind of, it's back to the basics. And it's like, what the heck? No, how about like back to the masters, back to masters,
I love that. Yeah.
Back to mastery.
There's specific things that go into that. I mean, you can have that sort of general understanding, but what does it actually mean? What's the tactical next step to actually do that? And that one of the, I got to circle back here to this point, because earlier I said, what do people do in times of change or crisis or when they're feeling stressed? They turn to other people. And part of what I really loved about RMS 22 is that you created the environment where there were agents from all over the country with all different levels of experience, and yet a common understanding of their desire to show up as a real person who provides real value to other people. And, some of the people I met at the event, I'm just going to call out some folks here. Cindy Hayden, hi, if you're listening.
She's going again. She's speaking this year.
She's awesome. I loved her strategy of using her love for food to create these magical moments where she assembles a group of people at a local restaurant, right? They're there for the food and the camaraderie. And guess what? They all have to live somewhere, right? You don't have to show up as someone who's like, are you ready to buy, sell, or invest in beachfront real estate? Even though that's the kind of stuff she represents. Showing up as a human being with a shared affinity for something first is much more powerful.
All right. And before you even name the second name, I've got to make some points there, right? Because Cindy is Gen. She is the generosity generation. She lives it. She embodies it. And what you just said really embodies is she's doing events. She's getting referrals from the events. But the first step on any event is it fun? What will make it fun? And the first step of any successful event is fun. So no home buyer seminar, no home seller seminar, no first time home. You're going to just have a fun event for friends and family. And the second one is, what are you going to love the most about this event? Or where's the love? Where's the love? Do you have the love for something? And for me, I did not love bowling, but we had some of the biggest, best bowling events ever, because you know what? Because the bowling was a lot of fun for a lot of people who didn't do it a lot. It's a pretty safe sport that almost anyone can do. And watching people goof up and fail is great. And that's another thing I love about RMS is the number one comment we get from Referral Mastery Summit is there just the lack of ego in the room. Everybody's going to share everything. Nobody has an ego. And it really is the end of the ego era and the beginning of the generosity generation. And this is the event for the generosity generation.
Well, it's a great segue to another thing I really love about the event, because whoever you are that's listening to this, you are enough. You are exactly what you need to be to provide value for people in your community.
That's right.
And I think like Paulie D, for example, Paul Dominance, right?
Yep.
He's a hyper productive, super, just amazing energy kind of guy. His personality is one where, like, if you see him and you go, oh my gosh, I could never be that, that's okay. Like,
Yes,
it's
Rick.
just one example. Like, Paulie and Cindy couldn't be more different. And
Totally.
yet, they're both succeeding at the very highest levels with different strategies that suit their own strengths.
I love that. Polly is a huge extrovert. Cindy has a lot of introversion, right? And that's what I love about this is, you a lot of events are really catered to extroverts. Are we going to have quite a few extroverts there? 100%, especially for an unleash your superpower. And we're telling people to dress up as superheroes, right? So you're going to have some eyes fulfilling some dreams, right? But the thing about it is you're also going to see these super quiet people who just did 140 transactions on their own with a small team or with just a transaction coordinator who you've never heard of, and they do it all through like just 3 events a year. That's what I love is I mean, Toral White. Toral in the star power world, people really didn't know her, and because she was so quiet, and she would kind of stay to the side, and she would never volunteer to be on a panel. Well, at RMS, she's speaking and things like that. She's a legend. She's a poster child for the referral mastery system, and everybody loves her like they should. And we kind of managed how to like get the best out of them. Like, and sometimes it's an interview. Sometimes it's, you don't have to carry the speaking. And, Paulie, just get out of his way
Right. Yeah.
and just like, here's the stage, do 10 minutes, Whereas with some, we really have to just like, isn't it weird that not everybody wants to be the star on stage or the sage on stage? A lot of them just want to be the guide on the side. And what I love about it is that most people are more the guide on the side than the sage on stage, but they're hearing from the sage on stage to learn how to run their business like a guide on the side. And guess what? They're not going to run their business like the sage on stage. They need those guides to guide them on how to run the business guide on the side. And here's what's beautiful in today's world is the guides on the side are winning. The guides on the side are doing more transactions. They're doing better. They're having an easier way. They're getting more referrals than the superstar. So I love it. Dan, here's what I love about you is some people would say, I went to RMS. It was a lot of fun. And you know what? The whole I love you latte you guys did on Saturday morning was a lot of fun. And I got my coffee. And like I met a lot of nice people. And no, you're giving these like leader, take a step back, helicopter view insights to what RMS is really about. And I would even say a lot of the attendees might have missed what you're saying. And I love that you're bringing it up. I love that you kind of pierce through that and see it.
Thank you. I will say, having attended, I don't even know how many different real estate events, that the strategy I'd recommend to any agent going to any event is that what you're going to learn from the guide on the side, right? At breakfast, at lunch, at dinner, at cocktails, at the club at 2 a.m, if that's you. Not me, but have a great time.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's like the value there is just incredible. So, what you hear on the stage at RMS is going to be things that are designed to help you think beyond your normal comfort zone, for sure. And then you'll have plenty of time to really invest and get to hear the stories of people. And I love the setup. And I hope you do it the same way, where we had all these roundtables and there was ample time given to actually experience the implementation of these new ideas and processes. That's so important. As otherwise you're standing at a waterfall of things and you take a couple of drops home. Here you've got, bucket loads of value that you get to actually implement. So,
Well, I love that because Howard Brinton with Star Power, God love him, or rest in peace, Howard. How would people describe Star Power or Mega Camp or Family Reunion or Inman is that it's like drinking water out of a fire hose. Well, we still have those moments, but we have moments where we turn off the fire hose so they can figure out what's in their cup.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, all right, what is the part of this water that I want to take home and I want to take as a part of me? And I use the analogy of literally taking the cup and what are you going to pour inside of you? And just like internalize it and commit to it. And just like, all right, I'm doing this one strategy in my business and it's going to make a difference. And if you walk away with 3 of those, then that's it. That's good enough. You are enough. You are the gift, and take it from there. At first, people are going to go to your events because they're fun. Eventually, they'll go to your events because of who you are. And that's what I love. And that's I mean, Lynn Faselli just wrote the most awesome thing in the we have joingengen.com. It's a Facebook group. In joingengen.com, she was just talking about that she's just so in love right now. She is just be love, do generosity, have prosperity. And she's just overflowing with love. And yeah, it also helps that she's moved to a new area and she's a leader and she's doing all these transactions, right? But she's coming from a really, really good place right now. And it's super attractive. And she's rapidly becoming the top producer in her area, and she's only been there like 6 months. So it's exciting. It's very cool when that happens.
Yeah, I love that we're going to see so many of the same faces, because just like speaking to that agent who might be hosting their own local event, they'll come initially because it's fun. They'll keep coming because of the relationship they have with you. Like every RMS is kind of like a reunion. I know we're going to see so many of the same people and a whole bunch of new people as well. And it's just a special time. It really is.
Well, that's the other part of it too, is what you just said, is our sponsors. We're not going to have 22 sponsors. We're going to have 5 to 10 sponsors. But here's what's different with the sponsor partners first of all, we're going to generate leads for them instead of them having to feel like they need to sell. The other thing is that our vendors, our sponsor are in the room for the sessions and they're getting hugs. Trust me, at Mega Camp, nobody was hugging the vendors. They weren't, right? But you know what they were doing? All the agents were hugging each other. And and why? It's because Dan's in growth mode. Chris Drayer's in growth mode. Amanda Churchwell, big time growth mode. These people are in growth mode. So they're a part of it. Plus, Dan's a referral machine. Chris is a referral machine. Amanda's a referral machine. These people are all referral, and they want to learn how to get more referrals. So, it just, that's what I love about it is you're right. You are getting the hugs and you deserve the hugs. And, you are a part of the Gen and the community. And I just love how that fits, so it's a session that even a vendor partner, sponsor partner would want to be in.
It's an unexpected, just wonderful gift to discover a community of people that have the same expectations of themselves, right? Because that's really where it starts.
That's right.
So many people find themselves in a real estate career with kind of a chip on their shoulder about sales, right? They chafe at the idea of being described as a salesperson. They've got all this manipulation associated with what that is. And, I've noticed in my career that the most successful sales professionals don't seem like salespeople at all. They don't sound scripted. They don't sound insincere. They show up as true fiduciaries. They really take care of people. And, all the people we've mentioned on this podcast certainly fall into that category. And I'm stoked to see them. So I'd like to close today's session with a couple of quick questions, just to pick your brain, Michael, and serve people maybe who haven't been exposed to your community in the past, right? So one of my favorite questions to ask every guest on the podcast is this. Let's imagine this scenario is happening. You're an agent and you have 24 hours to get a listing signed, or the world is going to end. What's your strategy to go get that listing agreement signed? What do you do?
That's a great question. If I had 24 hours to get a listing, isn't it sad that is how we have to think on a daily basis in some cases, right? So, I mean, if I had to, it might be for sale by owners or expireds, which would surprise a million people. But I also have the skills to convert those. But let's say I had 24 days and I didn't want to just get one listing. I would have an event in 16 days and I would invite the top people that I knew. And I would, instead of just relying on who I knew, I would rely on who the top people in my network knew. And I would probably come away from that event with 8 to 10 solid listing opportunities. And that's no exaggeration. 8 to 10 is probably low, but that's that's the difference. I think that we need to think is too many agents think it's up to them alone. And I did not succeed alone in Kansas City, setting records and doing everything we did. The reason I succeeded was because I had an army of ambassadors. I had this army of people who were looking. And the true answer, Dan, to your question is I probably woke up with a text message and an email with a listing opportunity already on it. That's probably what happened, right? Now, why did that happen is, the best time to build a relationship was 10 years ago. The second best time is today. Is I intentionally built great relationships and I gave my army of ambassadors talkabouts, things to talk about so they could talk about me. The housewarming party, that was a huge talk about. We did a housewarming party for every buyer, and they talked about it during the transaction, before it happened, and after it happened. And that usually generated 8 to 10 opportunities for us right there. So I think that's the long-winded answer to the question. But if I were dropped into a place where I didn't have any relationships, and it would be expired or FSBO just because they've raised their hand. And but the thing is, it would take me all day to probably do that because I would have to find the information. I would have to find out their number. I would have to find out, and is that the current information? Um, so it would be a lot of trouble, and thank God I don't have to worry about that. Thank God that I woke up with a text message or two that said my sister needs to sell and my brother needs to buy. That's a great question. What are answers to that? What are other people saying?
Well, so FSBOs and expireds are right up there. Door
Yeah,
knocking is another
yeah.
common answer to that.
Well, the only problem with door knocking is you only have so many hours you can do it, and it's not very efficient to me, right?
Yeah.
Is it's just like it's there's time with phone calls. I can do one, hang up and do another one, or get hung up on and do another one, and it would be the worst day of my life. I'm just telling you. That would be
Yeah,
that
I
would
mean, it
not be
really is a gotcha scenario for sure. And I think your answer is my favorite so far because, you reframe the question to do it in line with the way you're actually willing to work. And there's such an important lesson there because the reason our industry has such a high churn rate, 87% of agents dropping out every 5 years, is they're spending those 5 years trying to convince themselves to do something they're not willing to do. If the playbook for success is make 100 cold calls a day and you can't stand making cold calls, everything is stacked against you, right? There's a better way to do it. There's a better path forward.
Well, you hit it on the head. Is like that. That sounds like the great model for a game show, right? Where it's like you have 24 hours, like you have the undercover billionaire. You've got so many days to create a business, right? But this is 24 hours to get a listing. I wouldn't volunteer for that. And if they asked me to do it, I would turn it down, right? Because that's not how I do my business,
Well, I think your answer is really perfect. I just might tweak one little thing here. I'd list my own home, right? Save the
Oh, that's
listing.
the answer.
That's great. Done. List my own
That's
house. We're
that's
done.
the answer.
No
Yeah.
problem. And then I'd spend those 24 days getting ready to take 8 to 10 listings.
Yeah,
Makes
or
a lot more
move,
sense.
right? Get
Yeah.
ready to move.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that is the right answer is list a rental. Like I could do that. I could do that right now, I wouldn't want to because the best strategy in real estate, and I'll tell you right now, the worst things I've ever done in real estate were sell the rentals I had in Kansas City. But it was like, man, management, it's in Kansas City. I mean, we still have two of our best, but it's just like, man, we sold all those over time, and now they're worth twice as much. It's like, so that's there you go.
Michael, I can't wait to spend time with you face to face in Atlanta. Where can our audience go to find out more information? Where can they get their tickets?
All right. So rms2024.com, rms2024.com. Use the code HAPPY and you'll be happy with the discount code. So use,
all right.
Use the word HAPPY, HAPPY, and we've got a really, really nice discount code because you were listening to this podcast and you're a friend of Dan. And you're going to love that discount. It's our early bird pricing that you can get, for the next, I think it's till 13 days, something like that. So for the next week or so, you can get that. This is not a hardcore sales pitch. You got to do it tonight. You have 24 hours. But it's eligible till August 31st. So whenever this goes out, you'll have that amount of time. And then join gengen.com. If you're the type of agent that loves to hear what Dan is saying and listening to a podcast that says what to say, then you're probably a great candidate for the generosity generation. Join gengen.com. That'd be great.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mr. Maher. Can't wait to spend.
Hey, Dan, and I want to, before you sign, I just want to say thank you for who you are and what you're doing to this industry. It's funny is you are the sage on stage. You're a great speaker, but you have been like the master guide on the side in this industry for so many years. And what you've designed through Happy Grasshopper and everything you do, we don't just pick any sponsor partners and we go with the best of the best and the ones that represent love, generosity, and appreciation. And you're like the first 3 calls. You're it. And that's high praise in itself. But the bottom line is I just want you to know, I really appreciate what you have done for this industry and continue to do for this industry. You're an advocate for realtor. You would have a sign that says, I am a realtor and proud of it, and that's I just love you and love what you do, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Yeah, gosh, it's an honor. I haven't worked in 14 years, right? It's just been a privilege to serve people. And I'm glad that we'll be face to face here before we know it. So again, thank you. Keep up the great work, and we'll talk again soon.